There are seasons in life where speaking too much can cost you everything. There are moments when what you reveal could become the very weapon used against you. Wisdom is not always in what you say, but often in what you withhold. Today, I want to uncover 3 secrets you must never share, especially in this season of your life. Because when you guard what is sacred, you protect your destiny. Are you ready to learn the power of silence? The hidden power of silence is one of the greatest principles of wisdom that many people ignore. Yet it is the very thing that determines whether you rise or whether you fall. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not ignorance. Silence is not fear. Silence is power. There are moments in life when the most dangerous thing you can do is open your mouth. There are seasons when saying too much can sabotage what God is building in your life. Do you realize that sometimes the enemy does not know what to attack until you speak it out loud? Sometimes the reason why your plans collapse is because you gave them a voice before their time. Silence protects what is still fragile, what is still growing, what is still in the womb of destiny. Every vision, every dream, every idea, it begins as a seed. And just like a seed, if you expose it too soon, if you take it out of the soil before its roots are strong, it dies. That's why silence is the soil of success. That's why silence is the covering of greatness. And some of you, the reason you feel drained, the reason you feel attacked, is because you've been talking too much about what should have been kept hidden in the secret place. Let me ask you a question. Who have you been giving your secrets to? Who have you been giving your dreams to? Who have you been exposing your visions to? Not everyone who listens to you is for you. Not everyone who smiles at you celebrates you. Some people are just waiting for the right moment to use your words against you. That is why silence is not just wise, it is protective. Silence is the shield of destiny. When you learn to master the discipline of silence, you begin to live above manipulation. People can only use what you give them, and if you give them nothing, they have nothing to work with. Isn't it interesting that even in Scripture, great men and women were instructed to stay silent until the appointed time? Because silence is timing, silence is strategy, silence is obedience. But here is the danger. Some of you confuse silence with isolation. No, silence is not about cutting people off. Silence is about controlling your mouth. Silence is not about disappearing from life. Silence is about guarding the treasure within you. And I tell you, in this season, silence is your greatest weapon. So I leave you with this question: what could change in your life if you simply learned when to be silent? What blessings could be preserved? What dreams could be protected? What attacks could be avoided if you simply held your tongue? The power of silence is not in doing nothing, but in securing everything. And yet, while silence guards your destiny, there is something even more dangerous than silence itself. It's what happens when you reveal too much too soon. Are you ready for the next key? Why does your destiny require discretion? Because destiny is not something you can afford to gamble with. Destiny is precious. Destiny is fragile. Destiny is divine. And if you expose it carelessly, you put at risk the very future that God has designed for you. Do you understand that your destiny is not just about you? It's about generations. It's about nations. It's about people waiting on the fulfillment of what you carry. And that means you cannot share it with everyone. You cannot broadcast it everywhere. You cannot place it in the hands of those who cannot handle it. Discretion is the ability to know what to say, when to say it, and who to say it to. Most people lose battles, not because the enemy is stronger, but because they handed the enemy the blueprint of their life. Isn't it true that some attacks came only after you shared your plans? Isn't it true that jealousy arose only after you revealed your vision? That's why discretion is not optional, it is essential. If silence protects, then discretion directs. Think about it. Why do kings keep counsel? Why do leaders have confidential meetings? Why are contracts signed in private before they are announced in public? Because they understand destiny requires discretion. And you too must understand that some conversations belong only in the secret place with God. Some details must remain locked in your spirit until the time is right. Because once you open your mouth, you cannot take it back. Once the words are out, they are no longer yours. Can I ask you something? Who do you trust with your destiny? Who do you allow into the inner chambers of your life? Because discretion is not just about silence, it is also about selection. You must be selective with your circle. You must be careful with your confidence. Not everyone who hears you has the capacity to hold you. Some people will mishandle what is holy, and once they do, it can cost you years of progress. Destiny is like fine china. It cannot be placed in every hand. It must be carried with care, guarded with wisdom, and shared only with those who are mature enough to protect it. Your destiny is too valuable to be left unguarded. That's why in this season, you must walk with discernment. You must speak with discretion. You must guard what heaven has entrusted to you. But here is the question: what happens when you do the opposite? What happens when you speak without thinking, when you trust without testing, when you share without discerning? You end up broken, disappointed, and delayed. And many of you are wondering why doors are not opening, why progress feels slow, why you feel surrounded by resistance. It may not be the devil, it may be a lack of discretion. Destiny requires protection, and that protection is called discretion. And yet there is something even more dangerous, more subtle, that tries to destroy your future. It's the reality that the enemies of destiny are always listening. Shall we go deeper into that? The enemies of destiny are always listening, and this is why you cannot afford to live carelessly with your words. Do you know that not every ear that hears you is friendly? Not every listener is clapping for you. Some are simply collecting information. Some are silently waiting, patiently watching, carefully recording what you say so they can use it against you at the right time. That is why you must be wise with your speech, because your words can either protect you or betray you. Destiny attracts opposition. The moment you step into purpose, the moment you begin to rise, the moment you begin to move forward, you automatically draw attention. And that attention is not always supportive. There are people who are intimidated by your progress, people who feel threatened by your vision, people who would rather see you fall than rise. And many times they don't have access to your life until you open your mouth and give them access. Do you see why silence and discretion are so powerful? Because the enemies of destiny are listening, even when you think no one is watching. Let me ask you something. How many times have you shared a plan only to see resistance rise up against it immediately? How many times have you told someone your dreams only for those very doors to suddenly shut? It's not a coincidence. Sometimes the opposition needed your words to form a strategy. Sometimes they didn't even know what you carried until you revealed it. That's why you cannot expose what God has hidden. That's why you must guard your tongue like a warrior guards his weapon. Even in the natural, when soldiers go to war, they are told, "Loose lips sink ships." Why? Because one careless word can reveal a strategy, and once the enemy knows your plan, the battle becomes harder. It is the same in the spirit. Your destiny is a battlefield, and your words are the maps. If you reveal too much, you give the enemy the coordinates to attack. That's why you must protect your destiny with silence, with wisdom, with caution. Now hear this. Not every enemy comes looking like an enemy. Some come as friends, some come as helpers, some even come as encouragers. But their true intention is to extract information, to study you, to weaken you. And if you are not careful, you will hand them the very rope they will use to tie you down. That is why discernment is critical. You must learn to recognize that just because someone listens doesn't mean they care. Just because someone claps doesn't mean they support. The enemies of destiny are always listening, always searching, always waiting. But if you guard your mouth, if you guard your secrets, if you guard your vision, you deny them the weapons they need to fight you. And yet, even as enemies listen, there is a deeper truth we must confront. It is not just the enemies outside, but sometimes it is what you plant with your own words that can destroy you. Do you want to know how? When to speak and when to stay silent. That is one of the greatest tests of wisdom. There is a time for words, and there is a time for silence. There is a time to declare boldly, and there is a time to quietly protect what is still in the making. The problem is, many people confuse timing. They speak when they should be silent, and they remain silent when they should speak. And the result, missed opportunities, unnecessary battles, delayed blessings. Do you realize that every word you speak is like a seed? And just like seeds, words must be planted in the right season, in the right soil, at the right moment. If you plant them too early, they die. If you plant them too late, you miss the harvest. Timing is everything. The question is not only, what do you say, but also, when do you say it? Some of you are wondering why your dreams never seem to take root, why your vision seems to face constant resistance, why the things you declare don't come to pass. Could it be that you are speaking out of season? Could it be that you are announcing too early what God wanted to mature in private? Timing requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires trust in God's process. Even the greatest builders do not reveal the structure while it is still under construction. They wait until the foundation is firm, until the frame is secure, until the walls are ready. Then they unveil it. Why? Because they understand that exposure too early invites criticism, attracts sabotage, and invites premature judgment. If that is true in the natural, how much more in the spiritual? Your dreams, your visions, your destiny, they must be unveiled in the right time. But here is the balance. There are also moments when silence is dangerous. There are moments when God requires you to speak. There are moments when your voice must declare, when your words must bring life, when your mouth must release what heaven has placed in your spirit. Silence in such moments can cost you opportunities, can cost you influence, can cost you the chance to step into destiny. That is why discernment is critical. You must know when to open your mouth, and you must know when to keep it closed. So let me ask you, do you have the discipline to wait until the right time? Do you have the wisdom to hold your tongue until the foundation is ready? Do you have the courage to speak when the moment calls for it? Destiny is not only about what you carry, but about when you release it. And in this season, your future depends on your ability to master timing. But even when you learn timing, there is still a greater challenge. Because not only must you know when to speak, you must also recognize that the moment you do, there are forces that try to twist, distort, and corrupt your words. That brings us to something far more dangerous, the subtle trap of overexposure. Would you like to see how it works? The enemies of destiny are always listening, but listen carefully. They are not just listening, they are also waiting. Waiting for you to overexpose yourself. Waiting for you to reveal too much. Waiting for you to uncover what should have remained hidden. And the truth is, many people are not destroyed by the attacks of the enemy, but by their own lack of restraint. Overexposure is one of the deadliest mistakes you can make in a critical season of life. Think about it, light is powerful, but too much exposure can burn. A seed is full of potential, but if you pull it out of the soil too early, it withers. In the same way, your vision, your dreams, your plans, they are precious, but if you reveal them before their appointed time, they lose their power. You must understand this. Overexposure is an enemy of destiny. Let me ask you a question. How many times have you shared everything about yourself only to later regret it? How many times have you opened your heart completely only to discover that not everyone valued what you revealed? Overexposure is dangerous because it gives people too much access, too much information, too much control. And once they know everything about you, they can use it to weaken you, to slow you down, to sabotage your future. That is why you must learn the discipline of privacy. Privacy is not secrecy, privacy is protection. Privacy does not mean you are hiding, it means you are guarding what is valuable. Even treasures are kept in vaults. Even gold is stored away securely. Even jewels are not placed on every street corner. Why? Because their value demands protection. In the same way, your destiny requires privacy. Not everyone should know your struggles. Not everyone should know your victories. Not everyone should know your next step. The danger of overexposure is that it drains you. When you share too much, you give pieces of yourself away until you feel empty. You invite opinions, criticisms, and judgments that you were never meant to carry. And slowly your confidence begins to shrink, your vision begins to fade, and your strength begins to weaken. Overexposure makes you vulnerable, not because you are weak, but because you placed your pearls in the wrong hands. So I challenge you today, learn to hold back, learn to speak less, learn to value the power of privacy, because your destiny is too important to be placed on display for everyone to trample on. When you overexpose yourself, you cheapen your value, but when you protect yourself, you preserve your future. But let me warn you, even when you choose privacy, even when you avoid overexposure, there is still a greater responsibility. You must know how to plant your secrets wisely, because every secret is a seed. And if secrets are seeds, then the question is, where are you planting yours? Secrets are seeds, and like every seed, they carry the power of life, growth, and multiplication. But here is the truth. You cannot plant a seed just anywhere and expect it to grow. The soil matters, the environment matters, the timing matters. In the same way, the secrets of your life, your vision, your destiny, they are seeds. And the question is, where are you planting them? Into whose soil are you dropping the treasures of your heart? When you share a secret, you are planting a seed. If you plant it in the wrong soil, it will be choked, it will be trampled, it will be stolen. But if you plant it in the right soil, it will take root, it will grow, it will flourish in due season. That is why wisdom is not only in knowing what to share, but in discerning where to plant it. Because every secret you release has the potential to create your future or to destroy it. Think about it, even in nature. A farmer does not scatter precious seed on concrete. He does not place it where birds can easily devour it. He searches for good ground. He prepares the soil. He guards it until the seed is safe. Why? Because he understands the destiny of the seed depends on where it is planted. The same is true for you. Not every person is good ground. Not every ear is safe soil. Not every heart is capable of protecting the treasures you carry. How many of you have shared something important only to feel betrayed later? How many of you have planted your dreams in soil that turned against you? That's why you must choose wisely. Some secrets are meant only for God. Some can be trusted with those who have proven themselves faithful. But many should never be shared because the soil is toxic. The wrong soil can suffocate your dream before it even begins to grow. But here is another truth. Some of you have been careless with your seeds. You have been scattering them in every direction, hoping something will grow. And when nothing works, you wonder why. It is not because your dream has no power. It is not because your destiny is empty. It is because the soil you planted it in was not prepared to handle it. Seeds are powerful, but soil determines their future. So I ask you, where are you planting your secrets? Who holds the ground of your destiny? Because if secrets are seeds, then every word you speak, every plan you reveal, every dream you expose is either being nurtured for greatness or being buried to die. The power is not only in the seed, but in the soil. And yet, while seeds must be planted in the right place, there is something just as critical, because even a good seed, even good soil, can be destroyed if the timing of exposure is wrong. That is why in this season you must be careful, because the danger of premature exposure is greater than you think. Would you like to know why? The danger of overexposure in critical seasons is one of the most underestimated traps of life. You see, there are seasons where silence is not just wisdom, it is survival. When you are in a critical season, when you are birthing something new, when you are walking into a new level, that is not the time to overexpose yourself. That is not the time to reveal everything, because overexposure is like leaving the doors of your house wide open at night. It invites what should never have access to your life. When a tree is still young, its roots are shallow, its branches are tender, and its trunk is fragile. If a storm comes too soon, it can be uprooted, but once the tree is mature, once the roots go deep, once the trunk grows strong, the storms can no longer move it. The same is true with your destiny. If you expose it too early, before it is rooted, before it is secure, the storms of criticism, jealousy, and opposition will uproot it. That is the danger of overexposure. Ask yourself this: why do you feel drained every time you share too much? Why do you feel attacked when you reveal your next move? Why do people seem to rise up against you when you speak too soon? It is because overexposure attracts unnecessary warfare. Some of the battles you are fighting are not because of the devil, but because of your mouth. You gave too much information in the wrong season, and now you are dealing with consequences that could have been avoided. Even in Scripture, we see this principle. There were visions, dreams, revelations that were commanded to be sealed until the appointed time. Why? Because premature exposure leads to premature attack. Overexposure draws attention that you are not yet ready to handle. You must understand, not every season is for public display. Some seasons are for private preparation. Some seasons are for hidden growth. Some seasons are for quiet development, far away from the eyes of critics and enemies. But many of us crave validation, so we speak too soon. We want applause, so we reveal what should be hidden. We want recognition, so we show our fruit before it is ripe. And when the fruit is bruised, when the dream is mocked, when the plan is sabotaged, we wonder why things fell apart. The truth is, it wasn't time yet, and overexposure robbed you of protection. So in this season, guard your life like a treasure. Not every move must be announced. Not every blessing must be displayed. Not every dream must be revealed. Protect what is still forming, because what is exposed too early is often destroyed too soon. But here is the deeper truth. Even as you avoid overexposure, you must also learn to protect something even greater: the blueprint of your future. Because the question is, how do you safeguard the plans that heaven has placed in your hands? Would you like to uncover that? Protecting the blueprint of your future is one of the most important responsibilities you will ever have. A blueprint is the plan, the design, the master strategy of what is yet to be built. And your life, your destiny, your calling, they all have a divine blueprint. But here's the truth: if you leave that blueprint lying around, if you expose it to careless hands, if you allow the wrong people to have access to it, they can alter it, they can steal it, or worse, they can destroy it before you ever see it come to pass. Think about it. No wise builder leaves the blueprint of a great project open for everyone to see. Why? Because if the wrong person gets hold of it, they can sabotage the entire construction. They can weaken the foundation. They can shift the design. They can delay the completion. In the same way, your blueprint is not for public consumption. It is not for every eye. It is not for every ear. It is not for every heart. It must be protected. Do you realize that the enemy doesn't always need to attack your present? He often attacks your future. And the way he does that is by stealing the blueprint. If he can get you to reveal it, if he can get you to expose it, if he can get you to hand it over without wisdom, then he doesn't even have to fight you directly. He will simply use your own plans against you. That is why discernment is not optional, it is vital. Let me ask you a question. How many people have access to your blueprint? How many people know every detail of your life, every plan of your future, every dream you are carrying? Sometimes you wonder why things are delayed, why your progress seems hindered, why your steps feel blocked. Could it be that too many people know too much? Could it be that your blueprint has been left unguarded? Your future is sacred. It is the unfolding of God's design for your life. And it is too precious to be shared carelessly. Some things should remain between you and God alone. Some plans should remain locked away until the right season, because the blueprint is not just about you. It is about generations. It is about the lives tied to your destiny. Protect it with prayer. Protect it with wisdom. Protect it with silence. Protect it with discretion. But here is the challenge. How do you protect something that is invisible? How do you guard something that others cannot see? The answer lies in discipline. Discipline of your words, discipline of your associations, discipline of your decisions. The moment you learn to master that discipline, you safeguard the future that is already written for you. And yet, even as you protect the blueprint of your destiny, there is another secret weapon that must be mastered. Something even greater than protection. It is the hidden strength that comes from embracing the wisdom of silence itself. Do you want to know why silence is the language of the wise? Silence is the language of the wise. It is not just the absence of words, it is the presence of understanding. When you choose silence, you are not saying nothing, you are saying everything without speaking. Silence speaks louder than noise. Silence communicates power. Silence reveals maturity. The wise know that sometimes the greatest statement you can make is to remain quiet. Because silence is not weakness, silence is mastery. Have you noticed that the most powerful people do not always rush to speak? They listen, they observe, they discern, and then they choose their words carefully. Their silence is not emptiness, it is calculation. Their silence is not confusion, it is strength. That is why you must learn the discipline of silence. Because when you speak less, you hear more. And when you hear more, you understand deeper. Silence gives you access to truths that noise will always drown out. Think about it. How many mistakes have been made, not because of action, but because of words? How many relationships have been broken, not because of deeds, but because of uncontrolled speech? How many opportunities have been lost simply because someone could not hold their tongue? Silence would have preserved them. Silence would have protected them. Silence would have promoted them. That is why silence is not passive. Silence is powerful. Let me ask you this. What do people learn from your silence? Do they see strength? Do they see wisdom? Or do they see a void you are desperate to fill with words? Silence creates mystery, and mystery creates respect. Silence draws people in, while noise pushes them away. The wise understand that their silence speaks volumes, while the foolish believe that their words prove their worth. But the truth is, it is not what you say, it is what you don't say that often defines your strength. Even in moments of conflict, silence can be your greatest weapon. When you refuse to argue, when you refuse to reveal your weakness, when you refuse to hand over your peace through careless words, you win without fighting. Silence protects your dignity. Silence guards your emotions. Silence keeps your focus intact. This is why silence has been called the shield of the wise. But silence also requires trust. Trust that God will fight for you. Trust that not every accusation deserves a response. Trust that your destiny is greater than the opinions of people. And when you learn to trust in silence, you rise above the noise of this world. So I ask you, are you wise enough to remain silent when necessary? Are you disciplined enough to let your silence speak louder than your words? Because silence, my friend, is the true language of the wise. And yet, even silence alone is not enough, because wisdom is not only in silence, but in understanding the cost of what happens when you ignore it. That brings us to the next truth, the price you pay when you reveal what God has hidden. Do you want to discover that cost? The cost of revealing what God has hidden is greater than most people realize. There are things God shows you in private, visions, revelations, instructions, dreams, but they are not meant for public display. They are hidden because they are holy. They are hidden because they are not yet ready. They are hidden because timing has not yet matured them. When you reveal prematurely what God has concealed, you interrupt the process of destiny. You place what is sacred into hands that are not prepared to handle it. And once it is out, you cannot take it back. Do you understand that revelation carries responsibility? Every hidden thing from God has a season, and when you speak it out of season, you pay a price. Joseph revealed his dream too early, and his own brothers turned into enemies. Samson revealed the secret of his strength, and he lost his power. Even Jesus would often command people not to reveal his identity because he knew the timing was not yet right. If the Son of God understood the danger of premature exposure, how much more should you and I? The cost of revelation before time is delay. The cost is betrayal. The cost is unnecessary battles. Some of you are fighting storms that were never meant to exist, except that you spoke too soon. Some of you are facing jealousy and sabotage, not because of who you are, but because of what you revealed before the season. That is why discernment is protection. That is why obedience is wisdom. But let me ask you this: what has God shown you in secret that you have been tempted to reveal? What vision have you been carrying that you want the world to see, but heaven is telling you, not yet? The true test of maturity is not in speaking, but in waiting. Can you wait until the season is right? Can you carry it in silence until God says no? Can you trust that what is hidden will be revealed in its appointed time, and no enemy can stop it? Because when you reveal what God has hidden, you cheapen its value. When you expose what is sacred, you risk its destruction. And when you rush the process, you delay the promise. That is the cost. But when you learn to keep what God has entrusted to you, when you guard it, when you protect it, when you wait for His timing, then what was hidden will be revealed in glory, and no force in hell will be able to stop it. So today, I urge you, guard your secrets. Protect what is divine. Hold close what heaven has whispered. Wait until God says it is time, because your destiny is too precious. Your future is too powerful, and your calling is too sacred to be revealed before its appointed hour. And now as we close, let me remind you, silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Discretion is not fear, it is protection. Privacy is not isolation, it is strategy. The enemies are always listening, but they cannot destroy what you never expose. Protect your blueprint, guard your seeds. Embrace the language of the wise, and when the time comes, God Himself will reveal what He has hidden, and no man will be able to deny it.